Hello everybody. Hello. We are back for the last day. I hope everyone has enjoyed this piece, and I've just realized I've left my door open again, so I'm gonna go close that because I've got the washing machine and the dryer running. My dryer is not very quiet, so it would distract me. Hello, Little Pink House Studio. We're gonna finish up today. Gonna do some more turkey work and it'll be awesome. I love turkey work. So we're gonna be finishing the scarf, which is the two little tassel ends. I don't remember what it's called, with the little fluffy end bits that you put on the end of a scarf. And we're gonna do the little pom-pom, but we're gonna do the scarf first. And let's not dawdle, let's get started. I don't need my pattern. I was gonna get my pattern up. We need all 6 strands, and you can either do the tassel in the same variegated floss color that you've done. This is what I've done for my test piece. Or you can pick out one of the blues that we did in the beanie. Because I had to pick a different blue variegated floss, I'm going to use the same floss. I've got that left, which is enough. So I'm going to use that, but yeah, you can use whatever you want. You could even use a totally different color if you wanted to. Like if you wanted to bring in the yellow again or something like that, you can go for it. But basically we're going to thread our needle, and like yesterday, because we're doing the turkey work, we are not putting a knot in the end. No knot. I'm going to have to move that slightly. It's not in my way. And ow! Oh! I just sliced my finger with the freaking needle. Ow! We're just gonna take a sec while I stop the bleeding. Ow. Okay. So, like I was saying, if you missed yesterday, that's not a problem. It is up on YouTube and it is up in Instagram, so you can go back and watch it, but we're going to be doing the same thing today. So we're starting from the front of our work, piercing it and pulling it, because this is kind of a long cut of thread. And I'm going to leave about that much. I'm going to be trimming it down. I'm then going to come up very close to, but not in the same spot that I just went in. I'm holding, like I'm squeezing the tail end of the floss so that I don't pull it through by accident. And then I'm gonna go in very close to, but not in the point we just came down in, on the other side of the tail. And before we put it all the way through, untwist it, we're going to come up at the very start of our stitch. At that point, I've got a knot from the chain stitch that I'm competing against, and then pull it through. Pull it in the direction that we're going to have the little tassels, so that it's nice and tight, and that's the start of our stitch. I'm then going to move across to where I want the next one to sit. Go in, don't pull all the way through, we want to leave a loop that's roughly the same size as the tail that we had. Come up very close to, but not where we just went in. hold your thread in your other hand so you don't pull it all the way through. We're going to go in to the previous anchor point so that they all look like they're stuck together, basically. And then we're going to come up where we started this turkey work stitch, and then pull it away from our work to tighten it. And then we start the next one. So don't pull it all the way through. Make sure you've got a loop, that you've got something to cut. If it's twisted like that, that's not a problem. We're going to be cutting it. I'll just get this bit of fabric out of there. Then we're going to come up close to, but not at the point that we just went in. I've got a big tangle at the back. There we go. So I'm holding my loop so I don't lose it. And then go in to the previous anchor. Before we pull all the way through, we're going to come up where we started that loop. And pull it tight. Now with my test stitch, I did 4 of those little stitches, 4 of the turkey work stitches, but I've actually made the end of this really tight. Like it's kind of small compared to what I've done here. So I'm going to leave this at 3 because I don't want to do one extra one that will look like it's sort of sitting off by itself and not attached. The bottom down here, I'm going to do 4, and that's okay. I would rather it look like it matches the scarf than the 2 ends match in numbers of stitches. So I'm going to leave that there. I'm going to trim off my floss at the same length, and I just almost put a knot in my floss. There we go. And then I'm going to do the other one. So you may have noticed I've done like a tiny little gap. That was deliberate. That kind of amount was not deliberate. But you can see there's a little bit of a gap in my test stitch too. So it's whatever you want to do. I've done the gap on the rug, so it matches that. But that is something that you want to just keep check of. So, sorry, we're starting the next bit. We're going in from the front of our work with no knot to begin with. We're going to pull it to the length that we want, which is going to be that much. I'm going to then come up slightly off to the side, go in on the other side, and before we pull it all the way through, I'll come up where I started the stitch. And that's one. Sorry about my crazy coloured band-aid. I trimmed my nails the other day, and apparently I trimmed that one too close, like too far in on the side, and it's very sore. and I was fed up with how hot and sore it was feeling on the way to taking my kids to school today. So I grabbed a Band-Aid, which happened to be one of their ones. But I think it looks cool. Alright, so I'm going to do one more. There we go. And then I'm just going to trim that. And that is the first half of our stitch. We are then going to, we're going to leave that first, actually, and we'll do the pom-pom now. And then I'm going to take it out of my desk stand, and then we'll cut. So this one, we don't have to worry about having the little anchors on a specific side. We just go nuts, basically. So I'm gonna work my way down. Am I? Yeah, I'm gonna work my way down and just basically fill in that entire circle. I do want to keep this kind of long, even though the pom-pom is going to be a lot smaller. And that is because I want to tease the floss before I trim it down. And I personally find it easier to tease it all out when it's a bit longer. So I'm actually inadvertently decided to do different from what I said. I'm going to work around the circle and then fill it in. Oops. So if you have any questions, this is a good time to ask them. Oops, I came up at the wrong spot. I meant to come up there. And yeah, a reminder that if you want to ask questions, the Instagram question asker thingy is a good way to do that. Oh, I've just pulled that all the way through. And I will see your question pop up because I can see my screen. So normally this wouldn't be so difficult. I'd just turn my work around. But I can't do that very easily. because I have a desk stand. Oh, my cat's mad that I closed the door. She's just gonna have to live because I'm not opening it right now. I'm busy stitching. Yeah, go there. Try not to think about the fact that I am quickly running out of floss in this color. This is definitely a thread chicken situation here, because I don't have any more of this color after we're done. All right, now that I've gone all the way around the circle, I'm just gonna do random ones in the middle. Zoe, I'm not letting you in, cat. I don't know why she wants to come in here so desperately. Probably to scratch the couch, because she's kind of a bitch. I'd love to know if you guys can hear her or heard her when she was very loud. Yeah, she just meowed then. She has such a high-pitched little meow. Is our other cat from the one that was in my reel this morning, for anyone curious. We have 2 cats. So this is gonna look like a mess before it looks better, so do not fret. I need that to sit over there. You don't need to scratch the door, cat. She was happily sleeping on my daughter's bed. I don't know what's wrong with it staying there. So our little hole is gonna quickly run out of space, which is exactly what we want. Whoops. Bonk. So I can probably do one more after this one. Yeah, we'll do one more. I can see a tiny little bit of fabric in there. Yeah. And we are not going to have much floss left over but I made it. And I'm going to come up in the middle, and that is that. Excellent. I'm going to trim that to the same length as everything else. And then the fun part. All right, I'm going to take this off my desk. Get that out of the way. So, again, if you missed yesterday, what you need now is a pair of very pointy, sharp embroidery scissors. Please, please, please do not use scissors that you use to cut like paper or cardboard or anything like that with. You want them to be sharp so that you've got nice crisp little ends of your floss. And basically we're going to pick up all the loops and just cut. And this is scary if this is the first time you're doing it, but I promise you they will not come undone unless you were to actually cut these bits of the floss. We're then going to basically cut it down to size. I don't want my tassels to sit over the top of the trees, but I do want them a little bit longer than the rug. So I'm going to collect it all and just kind of like make them all sit flat the way I want them to, and then give them, I know this is going to be an Australianism, but I'm going to give them a hairy, which is just a haircut. And then just double check the length and all of the sizes of them all to see if they're all the right length. See, that bit's just a little bit longer. And just remember, you can always trim more off, you can't stick it back on. Alright, so now that I've got this end the size I want it, I want to now match that length with this one, because this one doesn't have anything over here to sort of gauge it by. And it's going to be about there. Oops, missed a bit. Here we go. That's perfect. Now this one, I'm just gonna readjust in my chair and realize that I was not prepared for that. Oh no, where could it be? Oh, I think I know where it is. I'm just looking for my little tool. If you were here yesterday, I would have told you to find a hard bristled toothbrush. If you do not have one of those, oh, there we go, I found it. If you do not have one of those, that's okay. Your floss will just kind of look like this, and it just won't look super puffy like this. But basically what we're going to do is cut all of these as well. Just make sure that you don't catch any other stitch work like your lights or anything like that. It's very easy to catch all the work in here, so just be careful. Take your time. Okay, so if you do not tease your work, it is gonna look a bit straggly. Like it's gonna, like, we're gonna trim this down, don't worry, but it isn't going to look as fluffy and lovely. I have this, which I can't remember what it's called now, but I got it on 123 Stitch. It's very useful if you are deciding to do fluffy stuff like this, but it is not required to make the little puff that you see over here. Like I said, a hard bristled toothbrush will work just as good, but this is just a little bit quicker, this thing. And basically we're going to just brush away from our work so that we don't aggravate any of this stitching here, and that's why it's really good to have longer strands, because then it's a bit easier to catch all of them. You don't want to do it too hard on the fabric, because depending on what fabric you're using, you might find that it pills a little bit. And you will notice that while you do it, you get fibers caught in your bristles. That's okay, because we're literally pulling apart all of the 6 strands from all of the loops that we've made. It's called a nap riser brush. That's what it is. I just want to pick up that one. There we go. And so once we're happy with how it looks, so that feels amazing right now. We'll pull out all the loose fibers that didn't come out. Yeah. There we go. I cleaned that out at the end, but I'm not going to do it now. And then you want to just cut it away. You want to trim it down. I like to kind of pull it up so that it's going to sit where I want the pom-pom bit to sit, but we're just going to trim it and shape it. And just remember, you can take it as slow as you need to, because you can always trim more off. You can't stick it back on. Make it as big or as small as you want. You don't want to go too small, because you don't want it to be too sparse looking, so that you can see the anchor points that we created for each of the stitches. I'm going to make this one a little bit puffier than my other one. You just want to make it as round looking as possible. You gotta love that ASMR sound of scissors cutting floss. Come on, get off the scissors. There we go. But that is that. I'm gonna get my little brush. Whoops. My little lint roller, and just pick up the little excess bits. Gonna have to get a new cut for that. But there's our little pom-pom. Isn't it cute? It feels so cool. Alright, and the last thing we gotta do is sign our work, because we're all done. So a reminder that this is an intermediate project, which means that I'm assuming you know how to finish your work. So I will not be showing how to finish the piece in a hoop. I will be letting you decide how you want to do that. I'm just cutting some white floss to use as a signature. You can sign it with whatever color you want, by the way. I do suggest a color that was in the piece itself. I just personally like to sign my work in a floss color that is similar to the fabric itself. That's just my personal preference. I'm gonna find a tinier needle. That'll do. So we want to get one strand of whatever color floss you're wanting to sign with. And we want to tie a good knot in it. And I sign all my pieces with TLK for 2 little kits, and then the year that I completed the piece. Some people don't know what year to do their signing, because, you know, what if I started it 5 years ago or something like that? And that's totally understandable, which is why, in my opinion, I like told myself that this was how I was signing them, and that works for me. You can sign it wherever you want, by the way. This just, for me, was a natural, like, largish area. And the other thing you can do is grab your pen, grab a ruler. Yes, I have a ruler that has centimeters on it, and do some guidelines so that you can make it nice and even. Because we haven't washed it yet. So I'm just going to quickly sign this. And you guys can go about your business if you don't want to watch me sign it. I do have a blog post that talks about signing our stitching that you can check and read at your leisure, however you pronounce it. I say leisure. I'm so used to having signing on Ada, sorry, is what I'm trying to say, that I have little holes to work with to make it nice and even. And then because I hate stitching the number 2 in tiny font, I'm going to do apostrophe 22. And I just do like a silly little weird lazy daisy to do my embroidered 2s. The first 2 was good. The second 2 is a bit crappy. But there we go. All signed, all done, all stitched. I'll just put, no, actually I won't, I'll forget. So I'm going to just tie it off. And then I'll pick up my work and I'll have a rogue needle somewhere that my daughter could step on again. Gosh, I feel bad about that. Anyway, we won't get into that. We're all done. Hooray! Thank you everyone for joining me. Thank you so much for sharing your work as we've gone along. Thank you for all the kind words that you've given me about learning. And yeah, I don't know when I'm going to do a next stitch along. I've talked about this kind of at length on Floss Tube especially, so if you're a bit confused about that, I suggest you go and check that out. But hopefully there'll be more embroidery stuff in the future, just not necessarily stitch alongs anytime soon. Thank you everyone so much. I will catch you around the internet. Bye!